friends. This is Under the Arc Sports. I'm Eric.
And I'm David.
And today we're going to preview the Mizzou softball team in 2022. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Facebook, and find us on Instagram. Guys, we're just about to 2,000 likes on Facebook. So seriously, go find us there. Yeah, David, softball is here for Missouri. The season kicks off on Friday, the 11th. There's a number of games down in Florida before Mizzou comes back. Oh gosh, in about a month from now, once the weather's a little bit nicer. And excitement is through the roof for this softball team, Dave.
Yeah, it's after last year's run, making it one game away from getting into the College World Series, hosting both the regional and super regional. There's a lot of excitement. Point in case, all the reserve seating for this season at Mizzou is sold out, which is awesome to say.
Yeah, if y'all haven't got tickets and you want to go, you're gonna have to get general admission tickets out on the outfield or find someone willing to sell you tickets, because every reserve seat for the entire season is sold already. Which
how impressive is that? Yeah, that is so impressive.
Yeah. And you know what? There's reason to be excited. This team is, depending on your poll of choice, the Tigers are 9th, 10th, 12th, 11th, and 1. They're right in that area nationally. That said, David, in the preseason media poll for the SEC, Missouri was 5th in its own conference.
That tells you two things. One, this conference is loaded.
Yes.
A lot of good softball teams. It's a gauntlet to go through and win. However, and we'll get to it in a minute, but I think Mizzou has a real good chance of making a run for the SEC regular season championship, if you will. But the other thing is some of that is just on how they vote for the SEC standings. If a team gets a first place vote, they get more points than some of the other teams. Mizzou may have been 2 or 3 in a lot of polls, whereas you get a team like Tennessee who gets one first place vote and they'll just hop Missouri just because of the first place vote. Kind of skews things a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, Tennessee got one vote from some media member to win the conference, which is not logical, not to me anyway. Will be interesting with Tennessee. Worth noting, former Mizzou hitting coach Chris Malvo, he left Mizzou after last season. He took the same job. He's now the hitting coach at Tennessee. So that's going to be something just to keep an eye on with the Volunteers this season. And what you mentioned, David, is this team, even though they are picked 5th in the preseason poll and frankly may not be the most talented team in the conference, even if they're really good, they have an outstanding chance to win the SEC just because of the schedule. You look at the best teams in the conference, or at least who's expected to be, at the top of the standings. For Missouri, there's no Florida on the schedule. There's no Arkansas on the schedule. There's no LSU on the schedule. That is gigantic. Florida has to play Alabama, LSU, and Arkansas. They've got all 4 of the they got all the other real contenders except Missouri. Alabama has to play Arkansas, has to play LSU, and I don't think they play Arkansas, but I think they play just about everybody else. There's a chance that Missouri's season-ending series in Tuscaloosa could be a series to determine the SEC champion, just because, well, both teams are really good, and the schedule really bounced Mizzou's way this year.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to watch, especially how things shake out. I mean, every year you get a surprise team, especially in the SEC, just based off recruiting and things like that. But, I mean, Mizzou definitely has a shot to at least have the regular season title. Once you get to the actual tournament, anything goes. That depends more on pitching, hitting, and luck, if you will. But one thing Mizzou has going for it now is experience, as pretty much everybody on the team is back from last year.
Yeah, the one exception is Kayla Kessinger. You know, she right after the season ended, she announced that she wasn't gonna use her COVID year, and then she changed her mind. And for a while, she was gonna come back, but then at the end of the day, she decided, you know what, I think it's time to move on. She's the one bat out of the lineup that will not be there, which will hurt because she was fairly clutch and good, but and she had that clutch factor, maybe more than anybody else in the lineup. But aside from her, everybody's back for what I think most people expect to be the SEC's most dangerous lineup.
Yeah, and my biggest issue with this team going forward is, how is our starting pitching going to be? Do we have that one dominant ace? I mean, that's what did us in the Super Regionals.
James Madison.
Who actually went pretty far in the College World Series as well. Almost found a way to take the whole thing just because of that dominant pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Can we have one of our pitchers stand up and make a name for herself? You have Jordan Weber, who had that no-hitter against Iowa State. Then you have Megan Schumacher, Emma Nicholas, who's a lefty for the team, and then Lauren
KRINGS.
KRINGS, thank you, who put up a great showing too. Can they develop and become even close to as dominant as that James Madison pitcher, just to help our team and take the pressure off our offense, so they don't feel like they have to score 10 or 12 runs every game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting for those who maybe are just new to following Mizzou softball. This team is a little bit like the opposite of the St. Louis Cardinals. With the Cardinals, it's all about pitching and defense, and I hope we can get 4 runs. With Missouri, it's the opposite in that, as I said earlier, this is a good chance this is the best lineup in the SEC. And if you're one of the best in the SEC, one of the best in the country. And it's not a complete opposite, because Missouri's pitching is pretty good, but pretty good will not win the conference, will not get to the Women's College World Series. So, I think everyone's looking to see, can they take that next step? In particular for me, Lauren KRINGS, just because she seemed to be developing and progressing a lot throughout the season. And, the old adage, you never see so much improvement as from your freshman year to sophomore year. So I think hopes are high that KRINGS can really take a big step forward and really help this team. Looking at the offense. Go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the things I look for with her compared to last year's stamina.
Yes.
Can she stay in the game longer and hold her own? In the playoffs, if you will, she seemed to run out of gas a lot quicker than some of the other pitchers. So that's something I'd love to see, now that she has some of the experience to get in a better shape to maintain a strong pitching arm through those games.
Yeah, and looking at the Missouri offense, even though it is really good, there are some things that I think you look for. Can Cassidy Shomo, can she just find a little bit more with her bat? Out in left field, she's good for a web gem or two almost every single game. It was incredible. I know the announcers during the series, I believe it was at Arkansas last season, they were just beside themselves, where she had just incredible catches all 3 games in a row. It was nuts. So maintaining that, but if she can add 10 points to her batting average, it would be gigantic for this lineup. Also, looking at shortstop, Jenna Laird, unbelievable as a freshman, pushing 400, above 400 for a good chunk of the year. Similar to KRINGS, she seemed to kind of stall out just a little bit towards the end of the season. Her batting average did dip. She still hit well, but not as effectively as earlier in the season. I think that's something where You know what? Now her body has been through the grind of a full SEC season. She'll know what to expect, and I mean that physically. It's a long season, a lot of games. So I think her body will have a better ability to handle the toll of the season, and I think that'll help.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mizzou's going to be opening up the season at the what they call the Northern Lights Invitational. They're playing Penn State, UConn, Wisconsin, Virginia Tech, and then they play number 24 Liberty, depending on what poll you use.
Virginia Tech's top 15 team as well.
Yeah, so I'm keeping an eye on that just because I think it'll give us a good gauge, one, to see how our pitching is doing, and two, to see how, if as it's developing, what our offense is going to look like this year and how it's going to be utilized. So we will have plenty of more to talk about as the season gets underway. But for now, let's just sit back, enjoy the fact that we have a solid team. And if you can make it to any games, definitely go watch. Otherwise, I believe there's going to be 9 games televised this year on the SEC Network, ESPNU.
9 on SEC Network. I believe one of the Ole Miss games will be on ESPNU, actually. But keep an eye out. There's going to be opportunities. There'll be a lot more games on SEC Network Plus. And hey, you know what? If they perform like a lot of us are expecting and hoping, there's going to be a lot more games towards the end of the season once we get into regionals, super regionals, and dare I say, College World Series on ESPN2.
Yeah, and if you're local, grab a lawn chair, go pay general admission, and sit out in the outfield and watch. They're fun to watch. I saw a bunch of games live last year. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, that's all we have for this report of Under the Arch Sports. Thank you for watching.